So we see as a city, we all hope that we're entering a period of new focus on the urban core, new development, and we know from the past, and not to oversimplify a complicated equation, but development all too often flows in the path of least resistance. And this idea of adaptive reuse, of preserving what we have, is all too often not in that path. It requires additional help. So for me, the question is really, how do you remove these disincentives? How do you remove these roadblocks to make sure that this next wave of growth in this city, this next wave of redevelopment, of new development, moves us forward, but does so protecting what we have and utilizing it to create something new and exciting, to create the kind of world-class city that we all hope Phoenix becomes.
As council person, to affect change in our built environment by supporting and encouraging adaptive reuse.
And I can tell you, I'm not an architect, so I'm wondering, and I'll put it a different way, why the hell, and we never promised this would be G-rated, why the hell is the building we're sitting in, which is phenomenal, not the rule? Why is it the exception? How are you going to not be a council member who's allowed the demolition of this district? So, jump on in.
I think that's...
I'm sorry. Oh. Kate is going to... I was told that Kate is going to start.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
When am I going to be first?
I'm sorry?
I say, when am I going to be first?
You were first before. See, got everything...
Just check.
So this building is an example, excellent example of what we want to encourage. Richard Florida and others have found that lower costs or open spaces are the center of that creativity that creates the entrepreneurship and the new jobs of the new economy, and that we need to encourage more of this. Unfortunately, we don't make it easy. We have lots of economic development tools for big companies, and we even have some for the small incubators, but we don't spend any city money to help people like Michael Levine when they need to change out an air conditioner in this building and really adapt and protect this building. We make it difficult. Because I have a long history of funding development based on fees from development. The projects that do adaptive reuse are much more complicated than a new build, but we've been pushing them through. So I want to continue to find ways where we fund adaptive reuse separately from the fees that support it, so that planning and development services will take the time to really get in there and work and make things happen. To find ways with building codes that require basically rebuilding the building, if we can find ways to make safe buildings that aren't quite as expensive as they have been, because that expense has really been hurting our small buildings, our historic buildings. And we have a great history in this district, from this building to the Lugo Bakery, but we haven't found the financial tools to protect them. So that's got to be a priority. We need a new historic bond project, historic bond fund, with more money for historic preservation, because we're running low on that. We also need to make sure that historic preservation works for some of our lower income property owners who own historic properties. We sometimes have very difficult solutions where they need to change out a window, and we say, oh, you have to go get a $50,000 window package that's historically accurate. When we need to be flexible and say, we got to find solutions that work for people of all incomes, so that those buildings thrive and are protected, and that we have advocates for historic preservation throughout the community.
Guy sitting in a chair, so you tell me who's next. Marilyn?
Okay, well, I like what you said. I like what my man said here too. What I'd like to see is the community education. I like to be able to know more about what you're talking about. All these different programs. What would I need to do to be a better citizen? You know, how can I learn all these things? If there was more workshops going on, maybe in my community, I could go learn about what you guys are talking about. We need jobs. See, desperately, we need the jobs. You know what I'm saying? So the people need to be empowered. The only way y'all can get the empowerment is through education. You gotta go and find out what these guys are talking about. You know what I mean? You're important people. I need to know about you. I need to know what you're doing because we're talking different. You're talking a language that I don't talk too much in my community every day. But I can set up a place where I can bring people in and listen to what we need to do to make Phoenix a better place. Stop cheating Phoenix by you not doing. You know what I'm saying? So the thing about it, those of us that know what to do, let the people that don't know what to do in and let's teach us what to do to make our city better, to make our community better, to be a better citizen. You know what I'm saying? You gotta show me something, baby. This ain't no talking time. Give me some action. You say you want to help me, let me in to educate me. Help me, tell me something a couple times a year, bring people in. Carolyn, I'm Carolyn, I'll help you find a spot. It ain't no excuse. So what we got to do, this city is growing so fast on us that we've got to put our people, empower our people so they can do. They want to do. But you've been locked out just like me, baby. They won't let me do. The men tell me, Miss Law, you disrespecting the ministers, you running against the minister, so what? The minister ain't done a damn thing for me. So the thing about it, what we need to ask these candidates, and my time is up, ask each one of them, what have they done for you lately? Not what you're going, what have you already done? Come on now.
I agree with almost everything Miss Carolyn T. Lowry said. And I remember the tea. You know, I used to hang out with my grandma downtown when she was working in court. And I go with her because my mom was working and she couldn't take me to her job. But I remember real early she used to take me into the Orpheum Theater. And that was when homeless folks still lived in the Orpheum Theater. It was in the early 80s that the city of Phoenix bought the Orpheum Theater, and I think it opened up in '97, back renovated. That is a direct example of what the city can do. My friend Tell, who couldn't make it tonight, he walks with us almost every weekend. Tell just joined the East Lake Village Committee, and this is right where Calvin Good lives. This is, you know, right over there on Jefferson and 16th. Tell did something no one else has ever done. He put a map together of the 50 historic locations in East Lake Park. No one's ever done that, and they did a walking tour. So what these two stories suggest to me is you can't forget your history, otherwise you're damned to repeat it. We've got Carver Museum sitting just a few doors down. I beg you to go after. It looks like a decrepit mess. It's the school where African Americans were sent when we were segregated in this town. That is a historic site. If it were walkable, if it were connected, we'd have a lot more tourists who could connect themselves. If we had the education, we would be able to do that. But if we don't connect our community to these ideas, like Ms. Lowry's saying, they'll just be ideas on paper still. A few more ideas. I think we can build high-speed fiber optic zones here in the city. That can either be done through bonding or it can be done through a private-public partnership, particularly between Van Buren and the McDowell corridors, between downtown and Sky Harbor. There are many historic properties that should be reused. We should also bid for the funding that our legislature and some of the more conservative members of our state will not take, which can do the historic funding and actually do the reuse through that actual practice. There are dollars out there to do it. And I will say one more thing. 2 of the schools have closed in the Roosevelt School District community where we live. And that's Sierra Vista, where my mom used to teach, and also Brooks Academy. Now those 2 schools, we're doing something great with reuse there. We've bought a greenhouse that we're going to feed all of our students who are on free and reduced lunch over the summer. We're doing public art and city and social services out of there. Another example of reuse that I think we need to think out of the box.
And Richard and Anthony, we have to be mindful of our guest time, so I'm going to have to say we're moving on to the next topic, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.